We are selling an adjustable louver shutter that is called a plantation shutter, and typically a plantation shutter is used as a window or door dressing. So, for instance, instead of a curtain or a blind, a Venetian blind, but they also work wonderfully well as a divider or say between an ensuite bathroom bedroom. Good question. I suppose being an entrepreneur, it's a lot about a state of mind, yeah. And I always wanted to sort of do my own thing and run my own business from when I was a child. I remember I was the youngest of three boys, and I always wanted to run daddy's business when I was older. This is going back to sort of age 5 or 6, and I suppose my first little business was shining people's shoes and at a young age, and then that evolved over time as I ran a DJ business and and sort of various little ventures along the way. But yeah, and I did follow quite a corporate route, but very much a more means to an end in terms of what I wanted to do one day. I'd sort of qualified as a chartered accountant and worked in London for many years. But I suppose all of that was contributing towards experience that is useful when you are doing your own thing. And the plan was always after London to return to South Africa and start something myself. And that sort of yeah, the path that I followed to arrive where I am today. Things don't always go according to plan, and I suppose the biggest challenge was perhaps the initial one, where stumbling across a business that had sort of failed or sort of been stopped in its tracks, and getting that started again. So once effectively inheriting a large cost base with no momentum, and that is. It's different from, I suppose, starting a business from small, where you from scratch, where you're growing organically. So when I stumbled across the business, the doors had actually been closed for 3 whole months. So we had production capacity, we had a big factory, we had no people at that stage, but in order to service that whole environment, we automatically started off with a large cost base, and so getting that momentum going up front was definitely one of the big challenges. And then once we had got up and running, I suppose suddenly the overall sort of global economy turned, and yeah, I mean, ironically, it was the lessons we learned during the previous year or two that put us in good stead. Absolutely. In any developing economy, it's always going to play an important role. And I suppose one can sort of split entrepreneurship into yeah, everything from the very informal sector through to the more structured environment. And so yeah, where unemployment is a major challenge, entrepreneurship will always play an important part. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I always wanted to do my own thing," or "I've always had this idea or that idea," and I think there's not many people that know how to go from that thought or dream into actually doing it. And I think there's yeah, I mean, perhaps part of it goes back to subjects that can be studied at school, or perhaps sort of more tertiary sort of training or learning that can be done along that sort of path. And I know that there are a few sort of schools of that type of nature that have been started and are running now, but I think it's growing that further.